there, welcome back to Crafty Creations with Culpeper County Parks and Recreation. We're happy to be here today for another episode of a craft featuring dinosaurs. So, something simple for the little ones to incorporate two different things. They're easy, minimal, and it's something I think that parents or older siblings can do with younger children, 4, 5, 6, 7. Basically, it's taking coffee grounds, mixing them with water to use that as paint, and using masking or painter's tape to do kind of a tape resist, which we've touched on before, but basically what we're going to do with drawing our shape of our dinosaur, and we have our TRex, and we have, this is somewhat of an easy version of a triceratops. You're basically going to take your tape and you're going to paint the coffee around it into your shape, and then you pull that, revealing your skeleton or your bones. I think the neat thing about the coffee is that it, will be kind of brownish and earthy in tone, so it kind of works. Let's get started. All you're going to need is some paper. If you have art paper, that would be great because it will help absorb the water, so something sturdy. I don't think printer paper would do so well because it's just too thin and not designed for water. But if you have that, you need your tape, you need a Sharpie of some sort. The thicker the better, so you can see your outline. Black crayon, magic marker, and coffee. And you have several options. If there's coffee in the house, used coffee that it's already steeped, it's already been sitting in the pot. I use a French press, so this is actually from this morning's coffee, and you can use that as your paint. You'll need a brush or a sponge, something to apply it with. You could even use maybe a washcloth, something that's really absorbent to rub. In that sense, you're staining your paper, and that's pretty much it. So what you will do first is, let's draw a T-Rex. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this, it's a chisel tip Magnum, but I think it will work. I want to make sure it shows up. So let's make sure we're going to start by over on this side. I'm going to draw the head like so. Okay, and it doesn't need to be perfect. We've got our little claws here. We come out, we've got a big foot. And then got our other one here. And then you've got on this side, you can come up and around for that tall tail. And then you come down here. Now, you want to give your T-Rex as much girth, width as possible. So when you come down this way, you come over like this, and then you just continue to join these two right here. Now this was a bit thick, so now I'm thinking maybe I should have chosen the thinner one, as I did when I drew this one, but you get the idea. We have templates for these, so you're welcome to download them, and then you can print, cut, trace, and then you have your shape there. Or you're welcome to draw any sort of, this is more or less the profile, the flat profile of your chosen dinosaur. You can see here we have a pterodactyl, which when it comes to the skeleton, I think this might be the easiest because you're only going to have, the head here. You're going to have the bones here, the arms. This is obviously the skin that stretches over cartilage type structures in between, and then you have, you know, here, rib cage, feet. Birds are kind of cool, or prehistoric birds, dinosaurs like the pterodactyl. Then what you can do now is you're ready to actually start with your tape relief or creating your skeletal sort of figure. This is for young children. It's to have fun. It's to imagine, okay, where would the bones be? We have a spine, and we have, you know, the tail. We have feet, arms. Now the skull, you know, there's a lot of bone there, but we don't have to be too detailed because along with this, we kind of want to experiment with the coffee paint. But before we get to that, let's do this. Kind of like the torn paper collage, you can tear your tape. This is why I like painter's tape. Masking tape you can do the same with, but anyway. You also have scissors. So when you need something that's somewhat thin, you can cut like this. And this is why I say with having an older parent help with this, the two of you can do that together. You can kind of create your bits and your pieces. And if these fall, that's obviously a nice thing because, you know, it's meant to be applied and removed easily. So I'm going to start, you know, wherever you would like. But I'm just going to kind of take this down here. And it doesn't have to be perfectly flat. You can kind of mold this as well and shape it to where you want it to go. It'll have a few creases in it, but it doesn't matter because you're removing the tape once you apply your stain. All right, so that's really all I did there to get started. And for the spine, obviously, it's not you know, something that is a straight line. So this is why it's nice that you can tear and you can piece together smaller portions of it, like this. For example, I can say, okay, here's my spine. I'm going to start it there. Kind of comes over, and I think if you make it with a little bit of contour, that seems a little more reminiscent of your skeletal sort of shape because we're not just straight lines with our rib cages this way. They do have contour for movement and support. You know, so again, something very simple. But here's going to be the fun part, you know, your rib cage right here. You know, you see your arms there. You can just kind of say, okay, well, where do we want to put our rib cage? I think maybe right in here. So these should be, let's see. I'm actually going to use a combination of ripping and tearing because I want to round them out to make them have, you know, that spear-like end. Right, here we go. Let's do like so. Take another one. Oops. Shape that one. And just keep going along until you build a simple skeletal structure. You have the basics, your rib cage, your spine, your tail, your arms, and your legs. And you keep going. Maybe let's put a smaller one here. Kind kind of like the way you do that there. Okay. Keep this one. And you can make use of all these scraps, and you can keep, like I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of make a, I'm not going to cover the entire part, but just a little bit to, so that you have kind of the skull there. And let's continue with connecting the tail there, the tailbone. And I'm going to come out this way to make this other leg coming out here, like so. Save these smaller pieces because I think they'll come in handy for the feet. And rip some more. To me, this is kind of like drawing. You know, when you're drawing something, you know, you have what's called an eraser. So you can actually erase, and not only is that part of completing and adding interest as you structure your content of whatever it is you're drawing, but it's important to know that you don't have to get it right off the bat. It's a process. So the same with this. You're not really erasing, but you can lift it, and then you can kind of put it back down where you would like it to be. And I think this is pretty much it, other than we need some arms here. And if you really want to get fancy, you can, you know, when you think of the hand, you have these small pieces, bones that connect for your digits, but you could add those if you wanted. But I think for today's exercise, we are going to stick with just a basic skeletal shape. And kids can have fun with this. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect. There we go. And I will just add one more piece to this at the bottom. And maybe something like this. I think we're pretty much done. So, let's remove these here. As you can see, that's pretty much the basic there. You have your tape, you put down where you think your bones are, and you're ready to create your paint. So again, washcloth, paintbrush, sponge, like a kitchen sponge maybe, and you could just stain it. Coffee, you can start with dry coffee, instant coffee, add water, put it in something that's large enough and sturdy enough where you can stir it. Or you can simply do what I did, and that's just add some water to your used coffee grounds. You can let it steep. I think for kids, the fun part of this would be to experiment with different strengths, because that will give you different shades of coffee that you can use to actually paint. But for today, let's just use this. I'm not even going to pour it in there. I'm going to take my brush, and then you're just going to give it, and I'm only going to put the stain within the, loosely within the lines that I drew here. Don't worry about the coffee grounds, because we will come after and clear those. But just take your brush there. Something you can also do is you can go back and apply layers. And then once it's dry, the idea is that you're going to remove the paint and you're going to see the image that it leaves behind. All right, so if you keep layering the paint on there, it will eventually darken in color. Like this, and then you can take paper towel and just dab. Of course, as I said before, the coffee grounds could add a little bit of interest, because it's kind of like dinosaur bones that are out of the dirt. So you have some of your dirt that you're cleaning off as you meticulously uncover your dinosaur remains. So that's essentially painting with coffee. It's not an exact sort of thing in that, you know, you can experiment with strengths and how much water you put in, how little water. You can also put other sorts of things on top of. I have a little bit of black here, and just for demonstration or demonstrational purposes, I'll put a little bit of that there, and this is just black washable paint here. We can add this, and then we can go back over it with our coffee. Like so. Any sort of medium, really. Let's go back to the coffee. And once you're happy with the color, then I believe, and once it's sufficiently dry, that is when you can actually remove the tape and reveal your bones. So I would recommend continuing that process to get it dark enough where you see some contrast. And then I have to tell you, this is what the kids love. You know, this is the fun part. This is when you take and you remove your paint or your tape. And you know, hey, they may want to just take it and just rip it right off, but that's fun. That is part of it. You just take, look at our ribs here. A little bit of that to try. Okay, this here, look at that. Take that off like this, pull that off. We have a little more here to go. I think this is the last two pieces. Here's a tailbone. And I think it really does, with the coffee, it adds so much interest, and I just thought maybe the black acrylic paint or the tempera paint might be a nice little addition. But experiment with it, and this is pretty much your end result here. Let it dry sufficiently, and perhaps you can cut it out, and you can use it for, you know, something else that you might come up with. But that's pretty much a really different, easy project you can do at home with dinosaurs, bones, tape resist, coffee painting. If you'd like, again, for a template as an example, we have several, so just let us know. And that is pretty much it for today. We hope you'll join us again next time, and thank you again to Culpeper Media Network. Make sure you check in with Culpeper County Parks and Recreation, phone number, email, Facebook. We really like your feedback, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.